Yeah, no, it was definitely a bit surprising for me to learn about this as well. So yeah, it's a great option to have.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Bani Abroad. This time I have a very special guest here. When I was thinking of studying abroad and choosing the country for MIM, I was very confused because my top choice was Europe, but because of immigration purpose and taking time to settle in that country, that's why I chose Canada instead. But there's someone who I have for this interview who chose Europe instead. So let's see what his opinion is, and then hopefully this video will help you to better understand which country is better for you. So let's get started. Welcome Mayank to this channel, and thank you so much for taking up the time, and I think that this video would be really useful for all those people who are struggling with the country like we were a few years ago. So thanks a lot for your time.
Absolutely, and thanks a lot for having me. I'm happy to be here. Alright, so for those of you all who don't know me, my name is Mayank. I'm a second year student at HEC Paris. I'm specializing in marketing, and I've been in France for almost 3 years now. I came here in 2018. And I'm gonna be graduating this year.
So Mayank, now it's the time for the $1 million question, and that's about the ROI. Of course, people invest a lot of money, and it's not that okay, it's just $2,000, and even if there's not a good ROI, it would be okay. A lot of people take loans. You can start with right after graduation, and also I would say that when you look at ROI, it's not just that oh, your first job is only this much, and whoa, no benefit of doing this, but it's rather the long-term approach that okay, you would have a salary increment year by year, so even that's something that you should take note of. But let's start with the initial salary right after graduation.
Alright, so according to HEC's website, when they talk about average salaries, it's generally around 40 to 50,000. So actually that also depends on which country you get the job in. So in France, it would be between 40 to 50,000, and maybe in certain industries, if you're doing finance or consulting, it would be a little higher than that, but not that much. But if you get a job in the United Arab Emirates, like in Dubai for instance, your salary is going to be way higher than that. But if you end up going back to India and working there, your salary is going to be quite lower. So in Europe, yeah, it's a bit hard to say because it really depends on which country you end up working in. But in France, you generally end up getting between like 40 to 50, maybe 55.
Okay, now this is really interesting. I want to ask a follow-up question. Like you mentioned that the people who end up working in UAE, so how often does this happen? Let's talk a little bit about more of Indian students, because the immigration thing and all of that. So have you seen people studying in Europe then working in different countries?
Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of Indian students especially, they end up working in different countries after studying here because of the whole language issue, so like a lot of people end up, like particularly people who are interested in consulting, many of them end up in Dubai, and then other people end up in Belgium. People end up in Germany, people end up all over the place.
It's more of where people are comfortable. So if there's the language issue, of course they want to immigrate to another country. But in North America, I don't feel a lot of people switch countries. Like if they're studying in Canada, they'll aim for a job here. 99% of the students, I would say that they stick to that country. So now that we have talked about the salary, I'll just tell about the Canadian counterpart about the salary. So here you can land anywhere from 40,000 Canadian dollars to 70,000 Canadian dollars, depending on your experience, depending on your industry. Of course, if you have more experience and then you're going into that same industry, so that's pretty much the range. And now of course you'll get the salary when you get the job. So how many months does it take for one to land a job? I know that it will vary, but on an average, if you can answer that.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's again, it goes back to the same thing depending on what kind of experience you have before, whether you're switching industries, whether you're in the same one. Yeah, it's really hard to say, dude. I mean, if I can mention the statistic which is there on HEC's website, is basically, I think more than 90% of the people land a job within the first 3 months of graduating.
But is that the truth?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Thank you for being so honest, and I feel that what Mayank is saying is correct, because unless, of course, the website it will say, and I see that a lot of business schools have this stat that okay, within 3 months these are the graduates, but you don't know what are the kind of jobs they are doing. So just talk to people who have graduated if you want to know the accurate picture. And since I have graduated recently, I can tell you there are people who landed a job within the first 3 months, of course, and I was one of the fortunate ones. I'm really grateful. And then this COVID, but even if there was no COVID, I know, so our graduation date is in August, and then there are people who get a job in January, because the hiring cycle is such that in August and September there are a lot of job openings because they know that students are graduating. But again, it becomes dull in November and December because it's the holiday season and the end of the year. And again in January the jobs are posted. Of course, there are jobs which are available for immediate filling, but I would say that you should be patient, because because it can take time. It can even take more than 3 months. Even for MBA, it's not just for MIM, because the culture here in Europe and North America is that the schools don't provide you with placement. You have to network and apply on your own. Mayank, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the same for European B schools also, right?
I mean, honestly, it's there's no placement system like the way it is back in India, you know. But the way it works is that we have a lot of career events. We have a lot of career events. We have a lot of privileged connections between HEC and companies in the industry, and so there's a lot of recruiters coming to the campus. I mean, now it's online, but previously there's a lot of career events, a lot of like networking events that happen on the campus where HEC essentially gives us the platform to really interact with these companies. And even now we have like a whole bunch of different career days where there's a lot of companies visiting. We can get one-on-ones with recruiters. I know people who've got an internship from one of the career days just by talking to the recruiter, having their interview there, and you know, getting an offer. So I feel like even though there's no placement situation, HEC does a lot in terms of, you know, its career support by, you know, really giving us the platform to interact with recruiters. Plus the privileged connections that we have with the companies, they really help us out a lot, you know. And let me also get into like this whole thing about the alumni. So HEC alumni, particularly in Europe, even elsewhere, there's a lot of HEC alumni at top positions everywhere, you know. And that's where also a lot of these privileged connections come in. You know, I do feel like it's not like placements, but there is support given from the school to find something. Also, this semester, for instance, you know, for us, because we're final year students, in our classes, we have a lot of guest speakers coming in from the industry. And since that's a very intimate kind of an environment in a class, we can also really connect with them through the class as well. So I feel like they give us a lot of opportunities to network and, you know, make connections, even if there's no placement or like interviews happening on campus in a structured way like the way it is back in India. But yeah, you're right. You know, at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. Like there's no spoon feeding as such, but like it all comes down to you, where, you know, you have to make your way through to getting an interview or getting that internship or getting that job.
I totally agree with what Mayank has said, and also, of course, it depends all on you, how you network. Even if you're given the platform, it depends on you. Are you confident enough to go and talk to that recruiter? And how do you talk? How do you convey your message? And I would say that the network connection matters a lot, even here in Canada. So it's pretty much the same. Just the difference that we want to tell you is that it's not like you'll have on-campus placements where you get admission into the Indian B school, IIM or anything, and you are set. It depends on you, on which package you land, but eventually you will get a job. But here it's not like that. So that's one thing you should be prepared for. So Mayank, now we have talked a lot about the class demographics, the jobs, the internships. I want to know the answer to the most important question now, and that is settling in that country, the PR status. And that was the main reason why I chose Canada. Although the first preference was Europe because of its beauty, the architecture, and that, you know, a lot of Indians do go to North America but not to Europe, and I wanted to go to Europe, but this was one factor that did not let me. So tell me, what is your thought on this, and like how easy it is or how difficult it is?
So I can speak for France, and the rule in France is that if you're doing a 2-year or longer master's degree in France as an international student, you're eligible to apply for citizenship after 2 years of staying back here after graduation. The conditions are basically that you need to be well established within French society. So you need to have at least a B1 level in French. You need to have a permanent job contract in France. You need to be paying your taxes for the last 3 years. You know, so there are like a bunch of these requirements. But the path and the eligibility requirement is that you need to stay for 2 years after graduation. And if you do a master's, which is less than 2 years, I think you have to stay for 4 years or 5 years before you're eligible to apply.
Oh, okay. This is really interesting because what the common knowledge about Europe is that it's very difficult to land a citizenship. So that's really an interesting insight. And those who do want to settle in France, I think that they do have this option, and they do have it like not very difficult as opposed to other countries where it can take even 10 years. So I think that France is a very good option within Europe if you want to settle in Europe.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a bit surprising for me to learn about this as well. So yeah, it's a great option to have. And also, like, that's the thing, right? So with France, the way it works is that it can be hard to get a job. It can be hard because of the language, you know, but there are upsides to that as well.
So I think that landing a citizenship won't be a problem, but the way to land the citizenship can be a problem, like getting that permanent contract from your employer. So just don't get all happy about this. Be strategic and see, okay, how often does that happen? How often do the employers give out that? And the best way, again, to use LinkedIn. Any closing comments, Mayank? Anything else that you want to specifically tell about France, or any advice for international students who want to come there?
All right, so I think the advice that I can give, I think it doesn't apply just for France or for international students. I think generally, if you're going into business school, I feel like the best skills that you can learn are people skills and emotional skills. You know, you want to be able to survive and thrive in any environment that you're put into, because if you're going to business school, especially if you're coming to top business schools in Europe, you can expect to have an international career. You can expect to, to do internships, and you can expect to do internships in different places around the world. And I feel like it's really important to have these people skills and these soft skills and the personal skills to really thrive in such an environment, Yeah, that's what I would end with. Like, I think that it becomes super important in business, and particularly in Europe, for finding a job, for finding internships, for making friends, to really be able to connect with people.
I totally agree with Mayank, because no matter your technical expertise, if you are going to business kind of jobs, because in coding, of course, they'll take your test, and if you're good, and of course, if your communication skills are even average, you will get hired. But when there are a lot of stakeholders involved and you have to talk to people, give presentations, then the first thing that they are going to note in your interview is your communication skills and your ability to gel with people. So make sure that you work on that. And if you are an introvert or if you are shy, it's okay. But just make sure that you have to be open when talking to people, and you have to come out of your comfort zone, because then only that entire experience will be fruitful for you, and getting a job would be a lot easier if you make the right connections. I'm really glad that you brought this advice up, Mayank, and thank you so much for being on the channel. And it was great knowing you as a person, talking to you, and knowing more about Europe. So again, thanks a ton for coming.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
If you did like the video, hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And also don't forget to hit that bell icon. Until my next video, take care and stay happy. Bye.